Hey, do you have this black little beetle that's eating your cabbages? Or this metallic looking, flea looking thing all over your kale and broccoli? Then you might have a flea beetle. Let me explain to you how I am growing your Bruckus families and many other plants without flea beetles, with no row cover. You got it? No row cover, no neem, no pesticides. I'm just using some common sense and some healthy plants. Well, if you want to learn how to do that and grow a little bit more nutrient dense food, come on, watch my video and I'll share with you, because my goal is for you to be able to grow more nutrient dense food. So if we're going to deal with the pests, the best thing we can do is figure out what is its life cycle. I have 5 pages of notes on a flea beetle in here. And what are their preferences? What are their likes, dislikes? Those are also important things. So how do I reduce, mitigate, or eliminate in certain situations these flea beetles? Well, let's get to know them better. For one, I'm in the middle of Montana, northern Montana, northeast Montana. It used to be the prairie. Flea beetles are native to the prairie. So if you put your garden in the middle of what used to be the prairie, the flea beetles will come. If you plant a whole bunch of cabbage, broccoli, kale, cauliflower, you've just opened your door and invited the flea beetles to come. If you're growing unhealthy plants and have cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, you may just have opened a buffet. All you can eat. But the key is, according to Dr. Albrecht, the pest, or the insect, but in this case the pest, is nothing but nature's garbage disposals. I use the pest as an indicator for plant health. So I'll teach you how we do that. If you're wondering what flea beetle damage looks like, it is that. That is a radish leaf that self-seeded in the garden. It is not healthy. That's why the flea beetles ravaged it. Right next to it is a healthy kale plant, untouched. So let's learn a little bit about their life cycle. There's a nice little bumblebee working my tomato for me. So I guess it's important to find out which plants they eat first, because I always thought they only ate your radishes, cauliflower, broccoli, kale. But then 2 years ago, a person contacted me and said, "Hey, I have flea beetles eating my tomatoes." Flea beetles don't eat tomatoes. Are you sure they're flea beetles? They were quite confident. Next year, I had people calling me saying flea beetles were eating their potatoes. And I'm like, potatoes? Flea beetles don't eat potatoes. Well, in both cases, they were right. Flea beetles were eating their potato nightshade families. So it turns out there are several kinds of flea beetles. The crucifer flea beetle, that's the solid black one, that probably most of us know quite well. You guessed it, they eat your cabbage family and canola. Right? So we're out west here, we're in canola country. So they have set the buffet for flea beetles. Giant monocrop fields of them, and even cover crop fields that include the mustards and canola. They're there. And radishes. We also have just a canola flea beetle that's a striped beetle. I've only seen a few of those. not many. They're a brown yellow stripe flea beetle. Flea beetles, by the way, are pretty itsy bitsy if you don't know what I'm talking about. And they look like a flea, but they are a beetle. The western black is eats all kinds of various kinds of crucifers and is super shiny. We know that beetle quite well. Yes, we have quite a few of those in our growing environment. Now this flea beetle that eats the tomatoes and potatoes is called the potato flea beetle. They also eat other nightshades. Now I have no idea why I didn't put 2 and 2 together on this, because every year that I've had a hot, dry, stressful year, my eggplants get hammered with flea beetles. That's probably why. They're a nightshade flea beetle. In the south, oh my gosh, I feel sorry for you folks. There's a tobacco flea beetle. They eat eggplant and nightshades too. That's a bronze colored one. I do believe I seen the bronze colored one when I was in Oklahoma. But they also have a pale striped one. And this is what's on the diet of that flea beetle. Squash, beans, corn, sunflowers, lettuce, and potatoes. Oh my gosh. If that happened to the north, we would not have a garden. That's a brownish black flea beetle with 2 yellow stripes. So that's kind of disappointing to know that there's so many different kinds of flea beetles, and a lot of them will eat what we want to eat. But that is the case, and so that's important for us to know. And since it is native to our environment, and we've kind of put our garden right in the middle of where they live, they're gonna take up shop. So when their life cycle starts, let's start it. It's hard to start a life cycle. Let's start it in the spring when they first come out of the debris. They live in the debris, and on the field edges is where they naturally want to live. That's where they winter over as adults. So in the spring, when they come out, usually in June, they will come out as an adult, and they're going to lay eggs around their desired plants. So if you have early radishes planted, you probably have got flea beetles right there with them, and they're going to lay 3 to 4 eggs at the base of those plants. When those eggs hatch, they're going to go down and eat the hair roots of your plant. Oh my gosh. When I learned this, I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder the plants are stressed. They're already stressed from flea beetle babies eating their roots. So they're weakening the plant that as they become adults, they're going to take up shop on, and you guessed it, they're going to eat them. So that whole life cycle takes about 30 to 45 days, and that's very, very dependent on the weather. Because this year we've had extremely cool, rainy, we've had rain every 3 or 4 days. That never happens in Montana. It's just very, very unusual. So I have not seen any flea beetles other than a couple flea beetles that was doing this damage. Now, they did this damage pretty early, and then they went down in the ground. I think once they lay their eggs, then those flea beetles, that's the end of their life cycle. But the ones that are eggs, they're going to come on, and usually by the 4th of July, you're going to notice. That's when a lot of people call and start noticing, oh my gosh, I have something eating my cabbages. This black little pest. Well, that's when the flea beetles are really hungry, and they are going to eat. But they only eat, this is a very interesting part of this, they only eat unhealthy plants, or plants with a poor immune system. Now, most gardeners that I've met, and all of them that I've lectured to about this subject, start getting offended right away. You just see them blow right up in the crowd, and they're like, I don't have unhealthy plants. Well, unfortunately, all of us do if we have a pest eating them. That's how we know they're unhealthy. because they can only digest unhealthy plants. So if your plant is super healthy, has a good immune system, the pest isn't going to eat it. Now I'm talking and referring to Jonathan Kemp's Soil Health Pyramid. And at the lower levels, 1 and 2, you're going to have pests like aphids and white flies and leaf miner. All of those are at the lower bottom of the pyramid, and they're easily taken care of with just getting the plant to do photosynthesis better. Now, when I first started listening to John about these plants not being all that healthy, and that most farmers and ranchers don't know what a healthy plant looks like, I was like, whoa, okay. So I started being a lot more observant, and sure enough, I start coming across plants, kale plants, side by side. One getting just ate to pieces with the flea beetle. The one right next door, untouched, completely untouched. I'm like, aha, there is something to this. So I'm going to show you some broccoli, cauliflower, and kale that was planted. I started them from seed. These plants are all treated exactly the same. They were seeded on the same day. They all got the seed inoculant. I have a video referring to not planting naked seed if you need that. But what we're trying to do is get the microbes associating with those seeds instantly, right? Because we need the microbes in the soil helping that plant get to the levels 3 and 4 of the soil health pyramid. And in those levels, we will not have our higher ordered pest, which is our beetles. So our flea beetles, potato beetle, and lo and behold, our locusts and grasshoppers are at the top of that pyramid. So we need a super healthy plant doing photosynthesis really well, and the associated microbes in the healthy soil working with that plant to get to a level that even a grasshopper won't eat. Yeah, I've proved it. I had summer squash side by side. Planted on the same day, same practices, same everything. One got ate completely to the ground, the other went untouched for the whole season. It went all the way to a really hard frost before it killed it. That's a healthy plant. So we need to get over the idea that it's my plant and my plant can't be unhealthy. Because you can't see the immune system. You can't see the immune system with these, with adults or even kids, with humans. Because when I teach school, all the kids look perfectly fine. The next day, one of them shows up sicker than a dog, right? So you can't see the immune system. You can't see the immune system with the plant. But what you can see is some basic indicators as to how healthy that plant is. So I'm going to show you over here at the greenhouse. There's got a lot of plants over there. So what we want is really big leaves. We want those leaves to be solid and not wimpy, not soft. We want them to be thick. We want those plants to have the same size leaf from the bottom of the plant to the top of the plant, all big. The bigger the better. We want the blooms. Oh, can you see these blooms on this tomato that the bumblebee was after? Here's some. So you want those blooms on all plants to be big. Bigger the better. You want the plant's inner nodes. So this is a node. This is a node. And in between is the internode. You want those to be short and tight. The shorter they are, the healthier the plant is. You want the stem to be really big around. The bigger around, the better. We got some tomatoes that are honkers, right? So the bigger the better. you want the leaves to all be uniform in structure, not just size. We want plants to be super hairy. This one's not as hairy as I'd like to see. But like on our borage plants, you can see they are super hairy. So the hairier your plants, the better. And how you can tell if your plant is getting enough nutrients to do photosynthesis really, really well, it's going to start putting on this wax layer. And that wax layer is super easy to see on our cabbage, broccoli, kale, all the crucifers, even the collards, kohlrabi, all of them. We can easily see that. That's a fat layer. Well, that fat layer only comes after the plant has got all the nutrients it needs. And it's built a massive root system, and it is pumping root exudates down in the soil for the soil food web, and it has excess. It puts on a layer of fat, just like some of us humans do. So we can see that on that cabbage broccoli family, but I'm looking right now at a tomato. I can easily see it on too. You can see it on lots of plants. You just need to know what you're looking for, and you got to get that plant healthy enough to do that. So what can I do to get it healthier? One thing I've been using this liquid feed if I have a small garden. If you have a bigger garden or market garden or a farm, then you'd want to get larger quantities from Advancing Eco Agriculture is a company that sells them. I'm sure there's others, but those are the two that I've used, is this from the Bionutrient Food Association and Advancing Eco Agriculture's products. So what's in it that's helping this plant is seaweed, fish hydrolysates, calcium carbonate, magnesium, sulfate, molasses rock, phosphate, manganese chloride, boric acid, manganese, copper, zinc, cobalt, and moly, folates, humic acids, and worm castings. Now, some of which the fish and mostly the fish, I guess, and the kelp, humic acids, they're helping feed the microbes. These other minerals are helping the plant do photosynthesis better. Now, some of the minerals are not necessarily in the photosynthesis process, but they're assisting those plants, those other minerals, to be able to help that plant do the best that it could do. So those are some things that you do. When do I put this on? I put it on early in the morning or in the evening, and I go by the label. That's my best recommendation. And do it once a week. It says once a week to 5 to 7 days. So if I have a plant that is being affected, I would do it more often. If I'm just doing it as a maintenance program, then I do it once a week. If the plants have got this fat layer on them, your plants have that fat layer and they're super healthy, you could probably do it every 7 to 10 days. But as soon as that plant's going to get stressed, because flea beetles love stressed plants, hot weather, sunny, and no moisture. That's what they love. So when they love those things are causing stress on your plants. So when do we get those? August, and possibly in July, depending on the season. But this year we're almost to July and it's still very comfortable out and not hot. Another stressor is wind or soil. All those things can stress plants. So if you can see these stresses coming, go ahead and put the liquid feed on more often. Don't increase the quantity, just more often. Just go by the label. That will help your plant. Okay, so in the meantime, if you still have flea beetles and you're trying to get your plant healthier, you can plant some traps. Now, traditionally people plant a trap crop in the ground. Now there's pros and cons to that, because flea beetles will travel a long distance to get to these particular plants that they like, and stressed. So if they get to a place, plants aren't stressed, they're probably going to pick up, take off, head to the neighbors that planted a monocrop and didn't do any of these practices, because they are going to go find stressed plants. So if you plant the trap crop in the ground, they say, you could be inviting in the aphids, flea beetles. But if your plants are healthy, who cares? Not going to hurt anything. In fact, I planted a trap crop, a whole bed at the greenhouse one year to try to mitigate some pests. The radishes that we used for the trap were so healthy that the pests didn't touch them. Holy, I dedicated a whole bed to this trap and it didn't work. But what does work is if you plant your trap crop in a pot or in a box. I like the box better because I'm going to dispose of this. If I have flea beetles and I want to get rid of them, I'm going to get this plant stressed. I'm going to put a garbage bag around the bottom of it and just wait for the flea beetles to get on it. When they get on it, then I just mist them because they hate moisture, makes their wings where they can't fly, and so they're going to go down into the soil or into the pot, maybe even setting on the plant but not able to jump off of it. Then you're going to just pull that garbage bag up around the whole thing, tie it shut, and you can set it in the sun. You just decrease the population of flea beetles around. Now, if this plant that you're using for the trap is super healthy, it's not going to work. So if you don't water this plant, stress it, it should work. So you got to have your trap less healthy than your crop to get a trap crop to work. Now that's just reducing the population, which can be very helpful while you're waiting for your plants to get healthier, because these plants don't get healthy like this like overnight. Because if your soils aren't super healthy, it just can't happen overnight. If your soils are getting healthier and healthier, your plant's going to get healthier and healthier each year. Now, there is something to say about genetics, because a red Russian kale will get ate by the flea beetles way faster than any of your tonsilican, the blue kale or the black kale, is a given. So some of that you're just going to have to do trial and error and figure out on the genetic side what's working, what's not working. Now these plants at the greenhouse obviously have huge leaves. The plants in my garden that are intercropped with the gem marigolds and chives and Facilia is in there. They were planted on the exact same day with the exact same management. Everything was the same. So the difference is the environment and the amount of photosynthesis that those plants in the greenhouse are doing versus the plant in the garden. That's what I'm talking about when I say we need to increase the photosynthesis. It's dramatic. So we can see it in those situations, especially when you can test it like that. Now, when are we going to plant this trap? This one I transplanted, but you could, obviously you'd have to plant it ahead of time. You couldn't plant it like today, just because I now have flea beetles. I'm planting it today. No, you need to do this ahead of time. So I'd plant them in June, early June, so that you have them ready. And when are you going to set the trap? Meaning I'm going to put the garbage bag underneath of it, set this out in a hot sunny location that flea beetles like, and reduce its watering. So I stress this plant to get flea beetles to go on it. I'm going to do that as soon as flea beetle numbers are pretty high. So mid 10th of June, 10th of July, somewhere's in there, mid-July. Because if I wait, those flea beetles are going to go back down in the soil, lay 3 to 4 more eggs per female beetle. And you guessed it, here in Montana we're going to have 2 and maybe 3 life cycles of flea beetles. So they're going to go back in the soil, and when they come back out in August, that's when most people call me. It's in August, they're like, my plants are getting annihilated by this black little beetle. Okay, so those numbers have went up 3 to 4 times what they was in July. A lot of people don't notice the flea beetles in July, but they notice the ones in August because those numbers have went up exponentially. So set the trap, try to get as many of those flea beetles as you can before they go back in the soil. When we go back in the soil, I used to like just have a deep breath, like, yay, they're finally gone for a while. Back then I didn't know that they were going to go up this exponentially by 3 and 4 times as many come August and come back out. And then if you don't get cool enough weather to trigger them to move off and go do their winter thing, then you could have another hatching of them. I'm sure in the South you people know exactly what I'm talking about. You probably have a September hatch of them. So, take care of them early, and it'll be less of them to deal with in August, less of them to deal with in September. But once you can start getting healthy plants, you're not going to have to deal with them. That's pretty cool. So that is how I am getting my plants healthier, reducing the pest, and not having to buy, let alone put up with, putting on a row cover in Montana in the wind. It's ridiculous. On top of, when I put a row cover on, the flea beetles are in the soil under the plants. Like, that didn't make sense to me. And then I have flea beetles inside the row cover, and super hard to keep it down. And then you got to get it up every time you want to harvest, or back down. A lot of labor. I just think row cover is not the ticket. Healthy plants is the ticket. So I hope I've helped you with this, and hope to see you on a video sometime soon. And be sure to leave us some comments. Love the comments. I did cut this video a couple different times. One time I had trouble with the light. The next time I had trouble with the background noise at the greenhouse. And so hopefully this one is doesn't have as much background noise, and it's more enjoyable for you. But please comment, let me know what's working for you, what's not working, and if you need any hints on how to get it better. Let's grow healthy.